this is the fun part.
Das ist das Lustige.
Yeah.
Oh.
Da, 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 da. I don't know how many of you guys caught this.
Ich weiß nicht, wie viele von euch das bemerkt haben.
Return of the golden calf.
Die Rückkehr zum goldenen Kalb.
Why?
Warum?
Why?
Warum?
Haven't they learned?
Haben die nichts gelernt?
I'm just very, very confused and annoyed.
Ich bin nur sehr verwirrt und genervt.
I'm skipping a little bit chapter-wise, but that's okay.
Ich springe ein bisschen in den Kapiteln rum, aber das ist okay.
Golden calf breaks all the rules,
Das goldene Kalb bricht alle Regeln,
so I will too.
also mache ich das auch.
Okay, so I think I have time before coffee break to do
Ich
this.
hoffe, da habe ich noch Zeit bis zur Kaffeepause.
Okay. So we all like stories, right?
Wir alle mögen Geschichten, richtig?
No. Especially.
Oh, ich sag ja.
Okay. Actually, Benny, can you move it to the front?
What?
This. Or I just want to be. I need to draw the pool.
Yeah. Didn't you recognize what the other teacher said that doesn't work?
I forgot. I did, but you know. I need to learn from other people's experiences. Chris. Good. Take water too. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
And they don't see anything but the board?
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright.
I'm gonna come in front of the board. I know. I'm gonna get closer with you guys.
So they're not bored?
Yeah, so they're not bored. Ha ha ha. Okay. So, this golden calf may not represent what you think.
Also dieses goldene Kalb spiegelt vielleicht nicht wieder, was ihr denkt.
There is actually another there's a popular story
Da gibt es eine bekannte Geschichte
about a calf
über einen Kalb,
that the people at this time would likely know.
die Leute jener Zeit auf jeden Fall kennen würden.
So this is from Ugaritic language or literature.
Aus der ugaritischen Literatur wissen wir, kennen wir die Geschichte.
Sorry. Yes. So I'm going to explain
Also erzähle ich jetzt
with all of my artistic ability
mit allen meinen künstlerischen Fähigkeiten
the story.
diese Geschichte.
Good. Okay, so we have a few main characters.
Wir haben ein paar Hauptfiguren.
Of course, Baal.
Natürlich Baal.
Duh. Baal is often pictured with a bull-like helmet.
Wird oft mit einem Schüsselhelm dargestellt.
I don't really know how to draw that, but you know, this is be a helmet.
Bull, not bowl.
No, bull. B-U-L-L.
Also wie einen bullenähnlichen Helm wird dargestellt.
And then he is also having a like spear
Dann hat er noch einen Speer,
thing that sends out thunderbolts.
der Donner
Those are my
bringt.
thunderbolts. And then he also has a mace.
Und dann hat er noch
I don't
eine
really
Keule.
know. Yeah, whatever. It's gonna be that. so that's Baal.
Einen Kolben.
It's a mace. I don't really.
I mean, what's that? What's a mace?
Like
It's-
a Thor, like Thor.
No, mace is,
No, it's-
mace is a weapon that basically is a club that has a big point, big and piece at the end, so it smacks really hard.
So I kind of did that right.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. So Baal is the.
It's like a good weapon against helmets, because it dents them so much that
Yeah,
the
it's
skull
really
underneath
heavy.
will still break.
So this Baal to the Canaanites
Also, das ist Baal für die Kananiter.
is the storm
Er
god.
ist der Sturmgott.
Yes. But he said that with a lot more passion than me. That happens. Okay, so that's the first character in the story.
Also hier haben wir den ersten Charakter in der Geschichte.
Then we have Yam.
Dann haben wir Yam.
Not Yam.
Yum.
It's not Yam.
Die ist nicht besonders yummy.
Ja, genau.
Yum.
Er ist nicht besonders yummy.
Er? Oh, er, okay.
Ja. So he
Er
is
ist
the sea god.
der Seegott.
So there's some waves. And
Do you understand your thunder look the same?
okay, let me practice my like Harry Potter skills. Is that better? Sure. I don't like that.
You come from above and go down.
Okay, good.
Don't go through the side.
Well,
Thunderous.
you know, when I watched the storm the other night, they came in all shapes and sizes. Good. So, with the sea often also in old times represented chaos.
Das Meer hat auch Chaos oft repräsentiert.
So he's gonna have some chaos.
Ah, der Chaos!
Yeah, he's got some chaos going on. Sometimes I feel like that.
Ja, so.
Okay. Then the third character
Der dritte Charakter
is Anat,
ist Anat.
and she,
Und sie, also die Charakterin,
yeah, so it's a girl.
sie ist eine Frau,
See?
also
She's got a
hat
pretty
Kleidchen an.
dress. I hope, nobody will call me sexist for it.
Ich hoffe, keiner nennt mich jetzt einen Sexisten, deswegen eine Sexistin.
And she is the sister wife of Baal.
Und sie ist die Schwesterfrau von Baal.
Yes, you heard right.
Ja, richtig. Schwesterfrau.
Yes, he married his sister.
Er hat seine Schwester geheiratet.
Baal married his sister. Yay!
Baal hat
Therefore,
seine Schwester geheiratet.
Yay. He was married to, and so his sister was co-wife.
I didn't watch his documentary, so
Ich habe eine Dokumentation über ihn angesehen, aber irgendwie scheint, ja.
yeah. And then the last character
Und der letzte Charakter
is Mot.
ist Mot.
And I have a fun way to remember this.
Und ich habe was Witziges, um mich daran zu erinnern.
And it involves some Danglish.
Und es beinhaltet etwas Englisch.
Mot is tot.
Mot ist
He's the god of death. So
Mot el muerte.
El muerto.
Muerto. Ah. Morty.
more specifically, though, he's the god of the summer drought.
Ist der Gott der Sommerdürre.
So therefore, he's also known as the
Also heißt das auch
death, and
Tod.
drought is when there's no
Dürre.
rain, no food.
Dürre, kein Regen, kein Essen,
Yeah,
Tod.
genau, tot. Good. So those are our main characters. Sounds like an interesting story so far, huh?
Yeah.
All right, see if I can do it in 10 minutes. Okay, let's see if I can leave it there. Okay, so Baal, the storm god,
Baal, der Sturmgott,
had victory
hat gewonnen. Hatte Sieg über
over Yam,
über Yam,
the sea god.
den Seegott.
Like I said, Yam represents chaos.
Wie gesagt, Yam bedeutet Chaos.
Yam is always a troublemaker.
Der macht immer Probleme.
And so Baal's always kind of in a constant fight with him.
Und Baal hat so einen konstanten Kampf mit dem am Laufen.
And is trying to restore order.
Denn er will wieder Ordnung herstellen.
And so, so since Baal is in a constant struggle with him,
Und weil Baal in einem konstanten Kampf mit ihm ist,
let me rephrase that. So when the god Mot came along
und als Mut daherkam,
into this mist,
in diesen Haufen reinkam,
just drop him.
came into mist.
Into the midst.
Into the midst.
Midst.
Okay. There was a D. Okay.
There was a D. So when Mot came in,
Als da Mut reinkam,
Baal's like, I can't handle this.
Baal sagt, das kriege ich nicht hin.
I cannot fight both Yam and Mot.
Nee, ich kann nicht Yam und Mut gleichzeitig bekämpfen.
So
Also
he needed some help.
hat er Hilfe gebraucht.
So he went to his right hand,
Also ist er zu seiner rechten Hand gegangen.
sister wife.
seine
Tada.
Schwesterfrau.
And he asked her for help.
Und er hat sie nach Hilfe gefragt.
Because if Mot was not defeated,
Denn wenn Mot nicht besiegt wird,
then there will be no fertility in the land.
dann wird keine Fruchtbarkeit im Land sein.
So no food
Also kein Essen,
for babies.
keine Kinder.
That's sad.
Das ist traurig.
Yeah. So, and like I said, both human and animal.
Ne, Kinder, also Menschen und Tiere.
So basically, life itself will end if he does not beat Mot.
Also letzten Endes das Leben selbst wird enden, wenn er Mot nicht besiegt.
And not only that,
Und nicht nur das,
but if
sondern
he does not defeat Mot,
wenn er Mot nicht besiegt,
he also will lose his place as a top god.
dann er wird auch seinen Platz als Hauptgott verlieren.
His place will be overthrown.
Er wird seinen Platz verlieren.
Yeah, and of course he doesn't want that.
Und das will er natürlich nicht.
Yes. So
Also,
so the great solution
die großartige Lösung ist,
to beat Mot
Mot zu schlagen,
is to sleep with his
mit seiner
sister.
Schwester zu schlafen.
Yay! No.
Ist das nicht voll klug?
And-
Sorry.
Yes. And guess what happens?
Great love story.
Ja.
Und stellt euch, jetzt fragt euch, was da wohl rauskommt?
No, not a baby god.
Nicht ein Babygott.
That's not what happens.
Natürlich ist das nicht das, was passiert.
But a cow, of course.
Natürlich ein Kalb.
So somehow
Also irgendwie,
that defeated Mot,
das hat Mot dann besiegt.
and fertility and life remained in the land.
Und Fruchtbarkeit und Leben konnte im Land bleiben.
Isn't that beautiful?
Ist das nicht wunderschön?
Was that?
Yeah, it's okay. Questions.
So is a cow calendar, and so that's why you won.
I mean, it's a bull. His thing's a bull, but often like this Baal storm god could also is also very popular with fertility.
Ja, also Baal ist auch sehr beliebt mit Fruchtbarkeit.
But it could be because of the story.
Aber es kann sein wegen der Geschichte, dass es wegen der Geschichte ist.
Yeah. So from this story,
Also aus dieser Geschichte
people were inspired
wurden diese Leute inspiriert,
to have cultic prostitution
um Kultprostitution zu haben,
in order to imitate this great sexual act
um diesen großen Sexualakt nachzuahmen,
between Baal and Anat
um Baal und Anat,
to keep fertility in the land.
um Fruchtbarkeit im Land zu behalten.
Remember again how this is common practice among the pagans.
Erinnert euch wieder, es ist eine normale Praxis unter den Heiden.
Yes, this is a good example of the sympathetic magic that we talked about.
Das ist ein gutes Beispiel für die Sympathiemagie, über die wir geredet haben.
So this is probably the background behind the golden calf
Das ist wahrscheinlich der Hintergrund hinter dem goldenen Kalb,
that is worshipped in Israel,
das in Israel gepriesen wird
and the reference in chapter 8.
und die, wo auch Kapitel 8 darauf hinweist.
And this kind of prostitution
Und diese Art von Prostitution,
is probably something that Gomer was involved with,
und wahrscheinlich war Goma da irgendwie mit drin.
and one of the references of cultic worship. Yeah.
So the golden calf is Baal also. I can call the golden calf Baal too.
Technically you can, but technically you can when you want to get all technical with words. But in the story, Baal is and in the culture, Baal is a specific god to a lot of the people. So that's where it might get confusing. But it is just know when you have like maybe a different book that's in a different place or a different time, it's always good to know how they're trying to reference the Baal. But because we know this is like the culture that they were really a part of, then we can know that when they said Baal, it was this storm god that's really popular. I basically just wanted to open your guys' eyes up to the fact that Baal isn't only the storm god, but it can be many different references.
And what happened for them with Jan? That seems to be there.
I guess he was
Constant fight.
constant fighting. So he just needed help from his sister to defeat him. So, but I guess they just stayed in constant fight.
So how come, or I don't know, at least I don't remember reading about Nam or Anak or Mot.
You didn't in Hosea.
Well, but just in general, in the Bible.
Yeah.
Like so, Baal does Baal kind of cover, like, is that a general word that would include those other gods in the writing? I don't know.
I mean, could like
Yeah.
Baal can mean any of the things that I said. Like it can mean like because it could mean the owner of those places, or it could mean many of other gods. So it could represent other pagan gods. So, but a lot of times, like the most. Go ahead.
I would also say it represents a lot of gods. Simply, he's the main god,
Right.
and everybody who worships him also worships the others.
Yeah.
So it's like nobody talks about the many other gods that were worshipped here in Germany in the 8th century, besides Thor and Odin. But there were lots more. But we don't reference them much. We could just talk about Thor or Odin, which were both main gods at different times favored. And just like that is Baal, one of the extremely favored gods, because he is doing good and whatever. Doing good.
Any other questions before we go to coffee break? In a couple minutes.
That's it. Where does his story came from?
Ugarite literature. So it's from a literature of like this from this area and like from this time. And so you could like look up like the culture of like Ugarites, and so but it's like a prominent.
So the Ugarites are really like old kind of tribe.
Yeah.
Even more than the Canaanites and that stuff. Like
Yeah, I would have to look more detail into it because I didn't like look into a lot of their culture. I just know that it's relevant. So, but it is in general like a famous like famous old literature or old scripture for pagan religions.
I mean, it kind of is, I would say, like the Brothers Grimm stories. Where it's like everybody knows them, makes references to them, but there's no other book that writes about them.
Yeah. Good. Then let's have some coffee. Yeah.
At least in German, Brothers Grimm.
Or tea, whatever.